The world of My Hero Academia is an incredible one. Everywhere you look, you'll see quirks that range from awe-inspiring to fear-inducing, beneficial to useless, and barely noticeable to downright bizarre. But although the show follows a group of students learning to become heroes, what about everyone else? It's been established that close to 20% of the world's population is quirkless. But is that the truth? Could it be possible that everyone has a quirk, and they're just too obscure to recognize? Let's find out! The first quirk to ever manifest in people came from a baby in China that started glowing like a human nightlight, which undoubtedly freaked out everybody in that delivery room. And thank goodness the first quirk was something as simple as glow in the dark, because if it were anything like some of the odd quirks we've seen so far in the series, such as terrifying human-animal hybrids, things may have gone a little differently. From the appearance of Baby Flashlight, otherwise known as Luminescent Baby, the world was forever changed as more and more people started to manifest powers of their own. Fast forward to the world today, and it's believed that 80% of people have a quirk of some sort. They can range from a wide variety of different abilities, but they most likely fall under one of the three categories: mutant, emitter, and transformation. Mutant-type quirks permanently alter a user's body. Think Ida with his rocket thighs or any of the humans who look and act like certain animals. Emitter-type quirks are activation-based abilities that luckily don't change the user's appearance. For example, look at Momo's creation quirk, or Aizawa's erasure quirk, which unfortunately makes the cranky teacher look like he hasn't slept in the last 3 years. And the last classification is transformation-type quirks, which allow people to change their body temporarily, like Kirishima's hardening ability. Although quirks vary wildly from person to person, classifying everyone with one of these three types of quirks helps create a logical system in a world that's been changed forever. Those with super abilities quickly adopted super identities to fight those that decided to use their quirks for dastardly purposes, and those with less than stellar quirks adjusted to everyday life and carried on business as usual. Okay, maybe usual is a bit of a stretch because it's probably extremely hard to go back to everyday life if you manifested something like the meatball quirk. But in today's video, more of the focus is on the other 20% who remain quirkless. You know, the quirkless. They're the regular people forced to live their lives in a society that's constantly mutating and evolving, and under the threat of constant danger by supervillains. Depending on how you look at it, the people who never developed quirks are either the luckiest or unluckiest people in the world. Everyone knows when a supervillain starts taking hostages, the first thing they do is go for the normal, everyday human beings. In this society, not having a quirk gives people the opportunity to look down on you. You come across as weak and useless. It makes you seem like less in the eyes of the more evolved population, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But what if all the prejudice and hate toward quirkless people is totally pointless? What if everybody has a quirk, and they were just too strange or small to notice? It's this question that was brought to our attention by Redditor Dakota the Human. It's been established that quirks could be literally anything. You could have the power to become the world's greatest hero, or the world's greatest party clown. You could have the strength and speed of Superman, like the hero All Might, or you could have the minor ability of attracting small objects to you, like Deku's mom. The range of quirks knows no bounds, so it's completely possible that those who were labeled as quirkless just haven't been in a situation where their quirk could manifest. If Sato can have the Sugar Rush quirk, where he can become 5 times stronger if he eats 10 grams of sugar, or Mineta can have the Popov quirk, where he peels off sticky purple spheres from his head, then there's no reason why there couldn't be a quirk that says every third Sunday in July a person's pancreas turns green, or something equally as obscure. The show says it has a foolproof way of knowing whether people are actually quirkless or not, and that's by the bones in their feet. People who are born without quirks tend to have 2 joints in their pinky toe, and this has become the accepted method by the medical community and the rest of the population. But in a world where even animals can form their own quirks that grant them high intelligence, like the bear, mouse, dog Nezu, can we really trust as simple of a solution as an extra joint means quirkless? Looking at how quirks are formed in the first place, it's clear there's a genetic component associated with what ability kids will form. In most cases, a child will either get one of their parents' quirks, or some type of combination of the two. That's why Jiro has the exact same earphone jack quirk as her mother, while Bakugo has a combination of both of his parents' abilities. Bakugo's dad has the oxidizing sweat quirk, while his mom has the glycerin quirk, which, when combined together, make powerful explosions. So it was natural for their child to form a quirk where he could make explosions all on his own. But giving a character like Bakugo the ability to make explosions may not have been in in the best interest of everyone given his, let's say, slightly aggressive temperament. And this is just general knowledge at this point. Some parents use this information in order to try to create a child with the absolute best quirk. Looking at Endeavor, the number 2 hero and arguably in the running for world's worst father, he specifically chose a wife with a powerful ice quirk to match his Hellflame quirk, to produce a child that he knew would be powerful. He got what he wanted in Todoroki, who got the half-cold, half-hot quirk, which admittedly is a lame name compared to his dad's Hellflame quirk. Thanks to his parents, Todoroki has the ability to shoot flames from one side of his body and shoot ice from the other. It's a perfect combination of both of his parents' abilities. And even though Endeavor is a gigantic piece of hot garbage who abuses his wife and forces his son to train to be the best hero ever, he accomplished his goal of creating an extremely powerful heir. This proves that the quirk gene is extremely dominant, and more likely than not will pass down from generation to generation. It's also been shown that the quirk gene is a dominant gene while the quirkless gene is recessive. By using this rationale, it can be concluded that the world is moving toward a completely quirked society. Pretty soon, there won't be any quirkless people left, but is that already the case? It's already been established in this world that in seemingly rare cases, a child develops a quirk that's completely different from either parent. They label this a mutation, but they can only really test this when the child has a quirk that's easily identifiable. If a newborn has a quirk where broccoli tastes like cabbage and cabbage tastes like broccoli, or their hiccups are 1 octave higher than everybody else's hiccups, then those are things that can never truly be discovered. Let's take a look at the quirkless character at the center of this series, Deku as an example. His whole life, Deku couldn't wait to develop a quirk so he would become like his favorite hero, All Might, the world's greatest superhero, only to be devastated when he was told he was quirkless. But is he really just an average everyday schmuck? As already stated, about 20% of the population is without a quirk, which seems like a high number, but given the surprise by his mom and doctor that Deku was in fact quirkless, and everyone else his age having quirks, we can deduce the quirkless 20% is more from the older generations that are still alive, and newborns nowadays will have a much higher percentage of quirks. So could Deku already have a quirk? A running gag throughout the show that fans have noticed is that Deku seems to cry a lot. And it's not one of those single man tears either. It's full-on waterworks, baby! It's Niagara Falls on steroids! Long story short, it's a lot of water. And the interesting thing is, his mother also cries like a burst pipe on a rainy day. So if you want to make the case that Deku's quirk is extreme crying, you can say he got it from his mother. The possibility that Deku already has a quirk that no one noticed goes to show how difficult it is to discover what one's true quirk actually is. The show goes out of its way to showcase a lot of different quirks along with their weaknesses, but never discusses how they found out about them. There doesn't seem to be any tests or devices that'll tell a person exactly what their special ability is, or what their weakness could be. Which begs the question, how the heck did some of them figure out their limitations? Some of them are pretty easy to deduce, like Uraraka suffers nausea if she uses her powers too long, and Benetta's head starts to bleed if he pulls off too many purple sticky balls from it. But some of the more obscure limitations must have come with a surprising amount of trial and error. So what would it mean if 100% of the population actually has a quirk instead of just 80? Well, for starters, it means that there's a huge chunk of people just waiting for the right opportunity to discover what their quirk actually is. They just might need to be put in a situation where their powers can be unleashed, whether it's something insanely strong or utterly unforgettable. It's said that the distinguishing characteristic of a quirkless individual is that pesky little extra toe joint. But what if everyone who has that just belongs to a brand new classification of quirk, like mutant, emitter, or transformation? The show is all about figuring out how to use the abilities granted to you to become the best hero that you could possibly be. So it's entirely possible there's a dormant classification of quirks just waiting for the right chance to reveal itself. At the end of the day, we don't know what caused this sudden progression of human evolution, if you could call dog-human hybrids the next step in evolution, that is. A popular theory is that mice carrying a virus were the kickstarters to humans developing these abilities, but that seems a little far-fetched considering what the human race is slowly evolving into. There's just too many unknown factors in quirk development to say for certain that the quirkless individuals are indeed quirkless, because anyone watching the show can tell you no two quirks are created equal. Some are noticeable, and others might just be waiting below the surface. My Hero Academia teaches us that it's not just about the quirk a person has, but rather how they choose to use it. Even Even the strangest of the strange can find a way to turn their quirk into a useful part of everyday life, or strengthen it enough to become their very own superhero. A quirk feels like an extension of that person, or a natural part of their personality. Of course, Bakugo, who's a human Babam from Mario, would always explode angrily at anyone who looked at him funny. Of course, Todoroki would have two sides representing his two different elemental powers, because he's a character always at war with himself. The quirks showcased on this show feel very in line with everyone's character, and hopefully those with potential hidden abilities finally have a chance to reveal themselves at the exact right time. Do you think it's possible that everyone has a secret quirk in My Hero Academia? If so, do you think Deku's hidden quirk is the ability to cry buckets of water on command? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more anime videos. Thanks for watching.